There's some interesting things happening, like wonderful things happening in Jerusalem these days. And it's been within the last 3 to 4 months. And we're going to talk about that. Welcome to the last dispensation. You're living in it. Let's start off with October 24th, 1841. That is a memorable time. You guys remember that. I know you do. What happened? That's right. Elder Hyde ascends the Mount of Olives and offers a prayer dedicating the Holy Land of Israel to the Jews. And of course, there's a timeline. Other things happened. The land was rededicated a few times by other apostles and general authorities. And then June 1960, and the Jews were coming over to Israel. In 1967, that was what was called the 6-Day War, which led to Israel's occupation of East Jerusalem, the West Bank, Gaza, the Golan Heights, and the Sinai. Within a year, Israel expropriates vacant land in East Jerusalem, and the Israel Lands Authority comes into possession of the land on which the center will be built. All right, so what's going on now? I'll tell you what's going on now. The Jews are allowed to pray on the Temple Mount now, and that's never happened. Well, it's been happening on occasion within the last several months, and it's always been a law that they weren't allowed to do that. The police would tell them to leave it if they were even uttering a prayer from their mouth. Now they can go up and pray, and the police are looking the other way. So let me read this. This is from Toy Staff, July 2021, and this is the Times of Israel. It's a website. And here we go. Israel has quietly started allowing Jewish prayers on the Temple Mount in recent months. I will be reading and commenting, by the way. In what would appear to be a major change to the status quo that has existed at the holy site since the Jewish state captured the old city of Jerusalem from Jordan during 1967's Six-Day War, according to a report Saturday. Channel 12's religious affairs reporter Yair Cherky filmed prayers at the site in recent days as policemen, who in the past would eject any person suspected of prayer and sometimes kicked people out for merely citing a biblical verse while speaking, passively looked on. For months now, every morning, this unofficial prayer quorum has been praying on the Temple Mount, Cherky said. The worshippers gather without prayer books, tefillin, or any other symbols of prayer that could draw unwanted attention from Muslims at the compound that houses the Al-Aqsa Mosque. But pray they do, with the cops turning a blind eye. The Islamic Waqf, which administers the compound, is aware of the situation and monitors them from a distance, but has so far not taken action, according to the report. Cherky described the developments as a revolution unfolding quietly and gradually under the radar. Brothers and sisters, this is just another sign of the times, is it not? This is amazing. We're reaching what once was unreachable tenets of the last days. It's amazing. The Temple Mount is the holiest place in Judaism. As the site of the biblical temples, it is the site of the third holiest shrine in Islam, the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Israel captured the Temple Mount and Jerusalem's old city in the Six-Day War and extended sovereignty throughout Jerusalem. Anxious to reduce friction with the Muslim world, however, and given the Orthodox sages generally counsel against ascending the Temple Mount for fear of treading on the sacred ground where the temple's Holy of Holies stood, Israel since 1967 allowed the Jordanian Waqf to continue to maintain religious authority atop the mount. So the Jordanian Waqf, or it's W-A-Q-F, is it WAF or WAQ or WAQF? I don't know. But apparently they had control over it before the Six-Day War. And so the new government allowed them to continue to monitor it and to have control They're like, we're going to give you the Temple Mount, but we're taking the rest of Israel, right? Or the majority of it. Jews are allowed to visit under numerous restrictions, but not to pray. In recent years, Israeli public perception of the ban on Jewish prayer has shifted through the fruits of a long-term concerted PR program, now using updated jargon calling for freedom of religion and human rights. The previously fringe Temple Mount movement is increasingly mainstreamed. But in the face of Palestinian claims that Israel seeks to change the status quo on the Mount that have intermittently caused flare-ups of violence in Jerusalem, the West Bank, and Gaza, successive Israeli governments have long maintained that Israel is committed to the status established there over the past few decades and does not intend to change the accepted practices. Channel 12 reported that beyond prayers, lengthy Torah lessons have been held on the Mount, again with the approval of the police. The report cited two main causes for the gradual change: the growing number of Jewish visitors to the site. A record 35,000 came in the year before the coronavirus struck, and productive contacts between some of the religious activists and police. Religious activists have even set up a Temple Mount management body that built a shaded hut at the entrance area leading to the Mount with refreshments for visitors and a model of the ancient Jewish temple. It was not immediately clear who was responsible for the apparent change in police policy on the Mount. It seemed unlikely such action, with such explosive potential consequences, would be authorized without the knowledge of top officials. Contacted by the Times of Israel, the Israel police commented, as part of visits being routinely held in the area of the Temple Mount, police are acting in accordance with the visitation rules at the site that are meant to enable the preservation of public order and the public safety and are conveyed ahead of the visitor's entry. The existing restrictions on visitors at the site are based on government decisions and high court rulings on the matter over the years, police added. So they call Jews and non-Muslim tourists visitors who enter the compound. A spokesperson for Public Security Minister Omer Bar-Lev commented that there was no change in policy from Tisha B'Av in previous years. In the past, attempts by Jews to pray at the site, even when quickly stopped by police, have sparked violence. So far, though, the report said the regular prayer sessions have been peaceful and have not led to unrest. Asaf Fried, spokesman for an assortment of organizations active on the Mount, told the network the entrance area has been fixed up. There are no lines at the entrance. People go up to the Mount. There's no waqf following you. There's a lot more room to breathe on Temple Mount. Channel 12's Cherokee stressed that this was still far from complete religious freedom for Jews on the Mount, noting that he was told by police not to film or interview people there, and as a kippah wearer, to refrain from religious activity. But on the ground, he says the cops, in accordance with the new policy, looked the other way. Some of the Temple Mount activists welcome the change, while others say there's still a long way to go. Unfortunately, it's not prayer in the sense that a Jew has been to a synagogue or at the Western Wall would call prayer, said Arnon Segal, one of the activists. It's very quiet prayer. Often a person who sways more than is allowed or mumbles too loudly is interrupted. Praise the Lord for what there is, and there's a lot more to be done. Brothers and sisters, this is an opportunity, and of course they're not without opposition. There's another article that you can go read that it's entitled Terror Groups Threaten Israel Over Temple Mount Clashes. They don't like what's going on. So there's going to be conflict. the Palestinians and some of the other some Islamic sects are not, they're not happy with what's going on there, and some of these progressive steps that have been.